I am so exhausted. Eating grapes. Mm. Should prop this up. Wonder how well y'all can hear me if I do. I think that should do. Hmm. Hmm. Mm-hmm. I need to figure out what to do with this hair because my end look brazy. My ends look so crazy and I feel so tired. I feel really tired. If you in here, say hi. Because, yeah. Hmm. I need to start wearing my hair in a ponytail. I also need to put my hair on some braids or something because this isn't given. But I also don't have the patience to do my own braids. And yeah, I don't have the patience to do my own braids. But I need to do something to my hair, but I don't feel like doing my own hair. And my braider, I don't know who that is, but hi, hello, everyone who joined so far. Guess my age. How old do you think I am? Hello. Hi. I'm just here. Honestly, y'all came in while I was just talking about how I need to get my hair done, so don't even mind this. Okay? I don't feel like doing my hair. I usually get a braider to do my hair, but she's on maternity leave right now. She just recently had a baby, and her baby's not even a month old. And I don't like to just trust anybody to do my own hair. To do my hair. No, I'm not either of those ages. Mm-mm. Nope. But I will tell you this. I'm tired. Sorry if I'm chewing crazy, let me know. My daughter is sick and she's 3 and it's hard. And making it. If anybody in here is a parent, are y'all dealing with y'all kids being sick around this time? I only have one child. And so all of this feels so new to me because my baby just recently turned 3 and I'm like, since she went to school, it just feels like she always ends up sick now. So that sucks. Hmm. Can y'all hear me good, by the way? Because, yeah. Also, if y'all wonder what I'm eating, I'm using my toddler bowl and I'm eating grapes because I'm trying not to snack on chips and stuff. That's what they say. Thank you for confirming that you can hear me. Yeah, I hear they say it's good for the child's immune system for them to get sick. But I just don't like it because she's not sleeping well. Hi. Hi, Kaylin. Did I say your name right? I seen someone or know someone whose name is Kaylin, so I wanted to make sure I'm pronouncing it right. Hi. Is it Dilshia? Or if I'm saying that right? Hi, Jace Me. I look like a statue. Wow. Okay. Okay, I'm glad, Kaylin, that I'm saying your name right. Hi, Shark Puppet. And hi, Gotham. But yeah, I just don't like the fact that she is sick. And it sucks, to be honest, because she's only 3. I know that she has to go through the motion. Everybody at some point has to get sick. But it just kind of sucked how she got sick. I had we went on a field trip last week, and I have a whole video about the field trip and a video about like what's going on with her. But if you're new here, I'll explain it. We went on a field trip. The rule is, if am I a survivor of what? And I'm glad, Kaylin, that I said your name right. Oh, I'm sorry. Shark Puppet Swatter or Swader. Some people like to say it 2 different ways, so I want to make sure I'm saying it right. That's a specific question to ask. Why would you ask that question? Just curious. Well, I have in the past, but I've never had anyone ask me that before. But I do have a history of that. Um, but I'm doing better now, though. Thank you for asking, though. And you're welcome, Shark Puppet Swatter. But yes, so yeah, the rule is you're not supposed to send your child on a trip or at school if they're sick. And never mind, I can't. I am not Mexican. No. Oh, it's okay. It's okay. I feel like my past made me who I am. So, if you're not touching on anything that's touchy or anything like that, um, yeah. Well, so this is, oh, let me finish explaining. So, I understand that because I am one of those people who, my daughter, because she's only 3, so I keep moving the camera. It just keeps falling back, and I don't have my tripod for my phone right here. Anyway, so my daughter only, she doesn't go to school like a official school schedule. She has like, because she's like Head Start or preschool. She like just recently turned 3. They have her in the baby class, like the toddler classroom. So it's like kids between the ages of like 1 and 4, well 1 and 3, and then they have like a 3 and 4 year old room. But because she just recently turned 3, they have her in the 1 and 3 room, and then they thinking about transferring to the 4 room. So the 1 and 3 room, kids only go to school like half a day, 2 to 3 days a week. It depends on what days in those 2 to 3 days you want them to be there. So for this field trip, all parents, it had to be at least 1 parent per child that come on a field trip. So the parents was not working, so they're like, if your child is sick, just stay home with them. So it was no way for the teachers to know what child was sick or not, because the parents came with their child for the field trip. And so there was like 2 kids that were like sniffling and they were coughing, but they didn't start doing that until we were already on the school bus. And their parents was just like, oh, I'm so sorry. And one girl, her mom was like, oh, I could tell you're getting sick. And I'm like, I know you really want your kid to go on this field trip, but especially with them being a toddler, they have no control over who they're coughing on and stuff like that. So yeah, my baby ended up sick. She's not as sick as some of her peers at her school, or in her class rather, but she is still sick. She's still going through the motion. And I think I caught it because I gave her Manuka honey ahead of time and I also took it. And usually if she gets sick, I usually get sick, but I think because I've been taking Manuka honey and I've been like just trying to be a lot healthier, like working out and taking my vitamins and different things like that, I think I lucked up with not getting sick. But my body was trying. Like I felt the sore throat and everything, but I was like, absolutely not. How do I get to Mexico City with my wife? She needs surgery and an induction. Um, Goat apocalypse? I'm not sure. I I don't know. I'm not Mexican. Hmm. Yeah, and that feeling sucks. It sucks seeing your child not feel well, essentially. But I know that, she'll get better and she'll be perfectly fine. But how is everybody else doing in here? What? I don't, never mind. Yeah. And she was a lot chipper today, but I would say when she first got sick, I'm sorry I keep messing with my hair. I'm trying to poof it because it's a little like, ugh. I'm gonna figure something out, and that's not gonna be like this anymore. I gotta figure out something to do to my hair temporarily. Usually I'll get braids or something, but my braider is on maternity leave, so I want to do something else with my hair. But she was a lot chipper today, which was great. When she first got sick, she was like, she couldn't breathe at all. The mucus was not looking that well. And yes, I did that. I had a humidifier in her room, and I put it's like these vapor drops. You probably know what I'm talking about by Freedom Mom, and I put that in the humidifier in her room. In her room, usually we keep a dehumidifier in her room because her room, for whatever reason, gets really humid. Um, it's like certain parts of the house gets really humid, but we like turned that off and just put the humidifier on, because at first we just had the natural humidity, but it wasn't enough. With us checking like her camera tells us, the humidity level in her room, and the humidity just wasn't reaching what it usually does. Usually it's really high, which would be good, but it wasn't. And so I was like, okay, I'll use the humidifier, and that helped out a lot. Only thing that sucked is she was coughing and stuff. But with me giving her Manuka honey, I give her a scoop of Manuka honey. I also make like this red onion, um I don't know if you want to say like red onion syrup like I took red onions and I like boiled it and turned it into like a juice syrup situation. I gave that to her. That knocked so much mucus out. And so today she was not 100% breathing through her nose, but so much better. And like, not, I hope no one's eating and it also sound gross, but so much mucus came out of her. Like, she was like, I chew mucus, cough, mucus coming up. And the good thing is she has learned how to blow her nose and stuff. So that helps out a lot. And um she excuse me, she would make sure she tells her like, I need my nose clean. And she'll just come ask for tissue and she'll just blow her nose, and that's helping out a lot. And I'm glad to see that she's starting to feel better. But she probably won't be able to go to school at least for another few days. Um, but that's okay. But it does suck because, like, if your child is sick and with having to work and stuff like that, once your child is sick, it's like you have to decide, do I miss work or do I send them to school? And I don't feel like you should have to decide that. I do feel like I'm lucky and blessed enough that, you know, we work from home instead of like in person, but it still doesn't make it easy at all. Hmm. I should have got my laptop, but it's okay. But how is everyone doing? What time is it where you are? Oh, this is the last grape and it's squishy. It's like kind of bad. Let's see something. Mm-hmm. But how is everyone? What time is it where you are? I know. I've heard. Sorry about that. I heard that RSV is definitely an issue that's going around these days. Uh, I feel blessed that I haven't had to deal with that, but I know people who have had to deal with that with their kids, and they said it was a big struggle. I'm one of the friends who have the youngest baby, so I've already seen my older friend. I mean, not older friends, but my friends with older kids go through it. So I was like, yeah, I'm so nervous about that, and I was so nervous to the point that I put my daughter in daycare when she was like 6 months, and then she did daycare probably for 6 months. But and I loved the daycare that she was at. She had an amazing daycare provider. But when we moved, um, I was so like at the time that we moved, RSV was like going on, and I was so nervous my daughter would get it, so I didn't have her go back to daycare because we wasn't near the daycare that she was at first that I love so much. And so I literally was just working from home and taking care of our daughter. Like me and my husband would just like alternate essentially because we were like, she's not going to daycare and she's not about to end up being sick um, because of daycare. So we kept her home and now she's back to being around kids again. And when she was home, she didn't really get sick. And when she did get sick, it was because we ended up being around somebody's child. Like maybe we went over a friend's house and they had older kids that was in school or something, and they got over being sick like 2 weeks ago, but somehow I guess the germs are still in the air, and my daughter got it. But then when she would get sick, it would be like really light, like maybe like she'd cough, sniffle, sneeze, and she only be sick for like 3 days, and then she was back to being fine. So this is new with how sick she got this time. And oh, sorry, you know, when I look back like that, my I got two cats, so I heard one of my cats like it sounded like they like jumped off of their cat scratcher. Um, but yeah, so but aside from like my daughter being sick and things like that, thank you so much, Living. Is it okay if I say Living, or would you prefer me to call you by your full YouTube name? But Aside from that, another thing is because right now I'm just kind of up because I feel like if I go to sleep and my daughter wakes up and it's going to be time soon, like I would say another 15-ish 20 minutes for me to give her next round of medicine, and she's already asleep, but I usually just like wake her up, give her medicine, and then clean out her nose, all that stuff, and then rub her back, and she goes right back to sleep because she doesn't play about her sleep. Like, she's starting to drop her naps, but overnight, like bedtime, she doesn't play about that. So her getting up in the middle of the night is only because she's not feeling well. My baby does not like waking up in the middle of the night. She does not like to be woken up. So yeah, but nevertheless, I was having a conversation with a friend earlier, and I guess, since I'm up, I was like, you know what? I think I'll get on live and I'll ask, anyone who joins my live how they feel about this. So me and my friend was talking about the difference between 50-50 and having a sole provider, right? She was like, for her, she doesn't work. This friend, she doesn't work at all. Like, her husband takes care of everything as far as like finances, and she's strictly at home. She gets to do what she wants. He gives her the money, all that stuff. I said, cool, that's cool with you. Like, I mean, that's cool for you. But she was saying, for me, she was like, oh, your husband should strictly be taking care of you, and this, that, and the third. And I'm like, well, I'm okay with 50-50. I'm okay with me being the one that's assisting as well, because it's been times where if I didn't have it and my husband had it, or if I didn't have it and my husband had it, and he made sure we was good. And in seasons where maybe he didn't have it and I had it, I made sure he was good. Y'all following me? Let me know if you follow me. Because it says no one's in the live, so I want to make sure you guys can hear me. Okay. So yeah, so I say that to say, um, so we was talking about our situations, right? Like, her, she has three kids. I only have one, but she was like, one of her kids is sick. And she said, like, her husband and stuff is the provider and all of this, but she feels like he has to be the provider and he also has to take care of the kids. And she should still be able to, like, essentially do what she wants to do. And she was like, yeah, I couldn't work a job while my child is sick. And my husband got me, effed up if he thinks I'm going to work a job while my child is while my child is sick or any of that, because I feel like I'm trying to like say it without putting her information out there, but she feels like um she should pretty much be able to do what she wants. And then so we went into this debate where I was like, well, I don't disagree with individuals who have people, like their significant other who can fully take care of them. But for me, I guess I feel like it's nothing wrong with having 50-50 if it works for you and your partner, because at least for me, it has worked for me and my husband. Even before we had a child, like, we always like went half on bills or whatever. And then when we got married, it was like, okay, we come together with whatever income we have. We provide for the household. We also equally do chores. We equally do whatever. Of course, there's some things that he will do more of than I'll do. Like, he takes out the trash, he fills up the gas. I don't have to worry about that. If something's going off the car, he makes sure that's good. Whatever the case, like those things that's considered manly roles, he does that for me. And then she was like, oh no, I feel like my hands should be out for everything. I feel like um I should only have to take care of the kids when he's at work, but when he comes home, like, I just pull back. I don't do anything with the house. I don't take care of the kids. I don't blah blah blah. Like, that's all him. And then I was like, well, is that fair? You know what I mean? Because if he's been working all day and then he comes home exhausted, like, yes, I do agree. He should spend time with the kids. He should assist where he can. But you're saying that you completely take your hands off and you feel like he doesn't deserve to have a break because it's his job as a man to be the full provider and also to give you a full on, like, hands off break after he just did a 12-hour shift is kind of crazy. So she was like, well, she feels like it's no difference if, say, like, she was trying to compare like me and my husband, like we us working and then we both get off. uh she feels like one of us should have hands off completely. So we went into a debate about what type of lifestyle essentially is better. Is a 50-50 lifestyle better, or is having a sole provider better? And I was like, I can't say that one is better or worse, because I do believe that it depends on your specific situation with your partner. And I also was like, I can't agree or disagree with her situation because I don't know how they live at home, fully. All I know is what she tells me. But I do know I know of other people who have like their partners who was like the sole provider and it just didn't work for them. And then I know people who did 50-50 and it didn't work for their relationship either. So then she did this whole debate thing, like I said, on the internet, on her story on Instagram, and she was like 50-50 or just strictly having your husband be the provider. Which one? Because she feels like both is like the same amount of work. And I'm like, nah, really, honestly, because I've been in positions where it was like, you know, um, where I had got laid off from like my previous job and I had to be out of work and it was just me with my daughter. I got to experience that experience of my husband being like the sole provider, and he took care of all of us. He also helped out with the house, but he also had to work more hours, which means that I had to, be the majority with my daughter while he was working. And then when I got off work, he would help out as much as possible, but I wouldn't be hands off because I knew that, especially if you work a corporate job, you need a mental break. I mean, any type of job, honestly, even if it's a physical labor job. But uh yeah, I just wanted to know, what do you guys think about like 50-50 versus providers and such? Exactly. And I feel exactly the same way that you feel with that. I really do. I personally don't. So I know, like, I'll see videos and TikToks where people is like, "Hey, no way, I'm gonna be doing this. My man better take care of me, blah blah blah." And then I see other people that's so strong, like 50-50 all the way through. But I'm like, you can't really compare and contrast because it really depends on your situation. Like, sometimes some people have to have that one person in the household who's like fully. Thank you. And I completely agree with you on that. I completely agree with you on that. Um, and I feel like I said, there are some people who maybe like what I like the position I was in at one point, where you either got laid off or you just can't go to work because maybe your child's not in daycare, and your partner is like, you know what, I'll take care of all the bills, just take care of the household. I feel like that works in situations like that. It's just so many variables, and that's what I was trying to explain to her, that you can't really compare who is better or worse, because 50-50 could be better to me, but having my partner be the provider may not be the best for me because I'm used to being independent. Like, it's so many different things and different aspects that goes into play with that. And I just think like that's not a conversation that is like a one is better than. Like this is not like um I don't know, like the difference between private or public or but even with that, and I was using that as an example, because she brought up, she was like, "Well, what if it's like private or public school? Would you want your child to have the help or not?" And I'm like, "Well, you still can't compare." And it was just it didn't make sense. It was the conversation was all over the place. So I was like, "You know what? If I get on live, I'll ask others how they feel about it because it was just going too far." And I actually had some questions that she had me ask when I go on live, but it was going to require me to constantly switch my screen to go get it because I didn't bring my laptop. But hold on, let me check it actually. One second. That was the question she asked. I'm sorry, I'm back. It was like, when one makes more money in the house, should chores and household things be split evenly? And I said it really just depends on you and your house. I keep banging. I'm sorry, I'm making you guys the screen shake. I said it really just depends on the household. It really just depends on what works for you and your partner. I think too many people try to put um too much of a spotlight on what should be considered normal instead of doing what works for them and their situation, them and their partner. Like I feel like everyone wants to be like, "Oh, everybody should do this like this," but we're all not the same people either. So it's like whatever may work for me may not work for someone else. And that's what I was just trying to explain to her, but it wasn't getting through. I love her very much. So if you get in this live, I love you, but the conversation just didn't make sense to me. But yeah. But I'm so glad that I don't have to work tomorrow or the next couple of days because my baby not feeling well. But when you do have to work, it's not easy with, especially with the toddlers. They just got here for real. So they don't really understand calm, patience, and such. It's just like, I don't feel good. I don't like this. I'm hungry. I want this. Do it now, now, now. So, yeah. Sometimes I feel like this is my like moment. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to start doing lives. And I actually like doing it. I did it. This is my second day, but I never saved my lives. I probably should, but the uh the first two lives I did, which was yesterday or the day before, it was either yesterday, I think it was yesterday. Um no, I did one yesterday and I did one the day before actually. So I did three. This is actually my third live. So the first one I did, we was just talking about random things and somehow I ended up with like 200 people in my live and I did not understand because we wasn't really talking about anything. We was talking about my videos and I was also editing a video. And then that turned into us talking about weather. And then everyone started talking about the weather in their area. And then all of a sudden, it went from like 5 people in my life to like 200 people. And I didn't really understand what we was talking about. It was just different people saying different things about weather in the comments. Oh, that's so cool. I'm glad. I was actually doing that before I got on live. I was scrolling and I came across some very interesting lives. I was like, yeah, I don't know how I got here because that's not the type of content I would watch, but I don't mind seeing different people lives. I don't mind, like it's so many different channels and such out there. And honestly, I came across one individual and she was in Japan. I've been to Japan before, and I was like, oh my gosh, like she just so happened to be like in the same hotel that I was going to stay in. I didn't stay in the hotel when I went to Japan. I actually stayed in an Airbnb when we went. We went to Japan back in 2018, and we plan on going back sooner than later, because like we want to go with my daughter. But she legit was in a hotel we was originally going to stay in, but we opted to go to an Airbnb instead of said hotel. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're right outside the hotel I was going to stay in. And she was in like Shibuya, and we talked for a little bit, like, you know, in the comment section. And then that was that. So it was pretty cool, like seeing so many different channels and not even knowing that it's so many people out there that channels are popular or viral. I don't know how you want to say it. Like they have like 200,000 subscribers plus. But yeah. Hmm. Are you a YouTuber at all? Or do you usually just like watch lives and videos and such? Also, what kind of content do you like to watch? That's always a good question to ask. Because I also know too, I talk a lot, you guys. If you guys can't tell that already, I will talk. Oh, that's cool. That's pretty good. It's always a good live. See, I don't really watch YouTube live. Today was the first day I actually scrolled and ended up in some really decent live. Oh, I'm very normal. I don't know. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Because some of the lives I saw was like, okay. Like, okay, that's very interesting. I don't judge anyone for what they do unless they're doing something that may harm somebody. But some of the lives, I was like, oh, like it was like this one guy, and he was eating, like he had like a lineup of bowls of spicy ramen, but beside each bowl of spicy ramen was a spicy drink, and I'm like, there's no way. There's no, and he was actually eating it, and people were like sending him money to eat. I just was just like, okay. Um, but yeah. So I usually end up watching TikTok lives, but um, you know, I just here lately. Ah, that's nice. That makes sense. Me too. Um, I completely understand. Well, my content is mostly, and I'm not one of those YouTubers that's gonna be like, go subscribe to my channel. Do that right now. If you're in the comments, I won't respond until you subscribe. I'm not one of those because I came across those channels too where they were saying that in the comments. I don't do that. But a lot of my content on my channel is mom is, and I also like to cook, so I'll be making cooking stuff. I also like um I also clean a lot. I like cleaning, I like decorating. I hint, I don't say I don't like cleaning, but I love having a clean place. So I clean a lot. So I may do a lot of like motivation, like clean with me, different things like that. And then I like I used to want to be a teacher, so I plan on making content of like, oh, how I'm teaching my daughter how to read, how I'm doing this or that. whatever, toddler, blah. And then, yeah, so my content is like a lot of organization, decor, cooking, cleaning, and then traveling as well. And then also shopping because I like to watch Audi videos, but I also love Audi. So I'm like, I need to just get out of my comfort zone and get okay and be okay with like being in front of the camera in public because I see other people do it, and I'm sure I'm in quite a few people videos out there because I'll be in the grocery store shopping and it'll be someone beside me recording, and somehow they'll get me in their video. It always happens, and it's been happening a lot lately. To the point that one woman asked me, she said, "Are you okay with being in my video? Because you were actually in my background and I didn't realize she was recording." She had the camera like attached to her cart. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, you caught me." So yeah. So I'll have some Audi videos out there eventually. I do have some already on my page, but mm, I live in a city. Um, let's just say I live right outside the DMV, like DC, Maryland, Virginia. I'm actually from DC, born and raised in DC, but I live right outside the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. Out, yeah, right outside the city, right outside the DC area, essentially. So yeah, so big is yes, kind of. Like it still kind of feel like I'm out of the way, and it still takes me like an hour to get to the really fun things or city life. But I kind of like it that way because I grew up in a city and it was just busy, 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 busy. But I also like the comfort of like calm and no one's immediately near me. So yeah. But I've also had the experience of traveling to other parts of the country where it's not city and it's more countryside or like remote locations. And I was like, wow, this is so different. And I love going to places with different scenery and such, but I also don't like to feel isolated. So I'm like, okay, I should go back to where it's kind of close to the city, but at the same time, I just want to be far enough from the city where it feels like I'm not necessarily close. Oh, you are? That's cool. But you're not in like a big city area, I'm assuming. Ah, yes, working in the city. I kind of miss it a little bit, but I don't miss the traffic of, yeah. Mm-mm. Ever since I work from home, I feel very happy to be able to work from home. But it's like, I feel like people on TikTok and YouTube give work people who work from home a bad rep because they make it look like it's so easy, but it's not. I feel like I do more work at home than I did when I was in the office. Like sometimes I'm just like, oh my gosh, because at least when I was in the office, we had like outings, work outings and like lunches, free lunch for everybody, breakfast. Oh, let's just sit down and have a chit chat moment. Let's do this. But now that since working from home, it's like I feel like the work may be easy, but it feels like they give you more work because you're at home because they think that you're not doing anything. And I'm like, I feel like I do three jobs. Like I honestly nowadays I've been feeling like I'm doing four because you got work, you got content creating, which don't get me wrong, content creating, I love doing it. Like I love the process of like recording, editing, posting. But then taking care of my daughter because like my husband's job is very like his job, he can't really interact with her as much as he want to on the days that she's not in school. So I have to, you know, do that. So it's like, and plus just having a toddler in general, that's hard within itself. Exactly. Now I have the luck of like my husband is very like if he has downtime with his job, he'll definitely help out. And he's always like if I have to do like a call or something, he'll jump in. But my toddler doesn't understand. She doesn't really get, oh, you have to work. She's just like, I see mommy. I know daddy is home. I know mommy's home. One of you needs to give me what I want. Yeah. So, yes. So both have their negatives and positives. I feel like working in the office can be positive, but the traffic. I felt like when I was working in office, when my daughter, before I got, well, that job I didn't get laid off from. I left to go to a different job. And in that job that I left the previous job for laid me off. But the job that I was working at when I first put my daughter in daycare, um, I had to work hybrid. So it was like you work a couple days at home. It was like Monday you work in office, Thursday. Hold on, what is it? No, Monday you work from home, and then Thursday and Friday you work from home. But Tuesday and Wednesday you had to be in office. And that Tuesday and Wednesday would take me out because like I had to get up, mind you, like where I was living at the time, I was living like in the city almost like right outside of DC, and it was like it was still felt like the city because literally DC was like 10 minutes from where I was used to live at. And I had to drive from being in the city-ish area because I was like right outside of DC, and I had to cut through DC to go to um deeper in Maryland. And where I had to drive to was like it was only supposed to be like 45 minutes, but it would take almost 2 hours because of traffic. And then when it was time to go home, I felt like what in the world? So it used to be so bad. My husband would have to pick my daughter up from daycare and come home with her on the days that I had to work at office because it was no way that I could get to her because her daycare was like past where we live, and like it was additional 30 minutes. But with that traffic, you was going to sit in the traffic for another hour just to get 30 minutes away. Like it was stressful. It was stressful, but we made it work. Not to mention, I'm so glad and I feel blessed that he gets to work from home because when he was working in office, he would drive like nearly 2 hours. He would go from the part of Maryland we had moved to, where we are now, and he would drive from this part of Maryland all the way to Falls Church, Virginia. And you have to know the DMV area to know that that is like going on a that's like going out of town. Like so it was literally he was driving like 2.5 hours to get to work because his job was in Falls Church, and it was always traffic going to work and coming home. It would have been faster for him to get to work going by Mark train or something of the sort to get to work than how traffic. And this return to office thing was just like, ugh. People don't understand. And so I try to tell some of my family that's like, oh, if you got a work from home job, oh, you're so good. And I'm like, you don't know how hard it is. Both work from home and in office. Yes. So both work from home and in office because I know both. They're both hard in their own ways. And they both have their negatives, but they both also have positives too. So Yeah, which was very interesting. Now that I think about it, I have to like with me being on live and stuff. Like I'm okay with like I'm young. I'm in my early 30s. Like I just turned 32, so I don't feel like I'm old or anything like that. I'm still young, and I know technology, but I'm not usually on lives. And yesterday, when I was on live, I was talking about work from home jobs and such, and people was like, "Oh, there was people in the comments, right, that was assuming that because I posted content every day, really, do I look 32? Do I look older?" Ah, I do get that, like, oh, you look like you're like, I have some people that think that I'm like 25, 26. Yes, thank you. But you know, the crazy part is I've been like this since I was younger. So, people would always say, like, you seem way more mature for your age. And I just think it's because life, I had to mature a little bit faster in order to get through life. So all the hard struggles that maybe some people didn't really have to face in their early 20s, I felt like I had to. So, yeah. But I forgot what I was saying. There was something I was saying. I don't know. But working from home, working from home or working in person, they both have their pros and cons, I feel like. Yeah. Oh, that's what it was. So yeah, I was in live yesterday, and we was talking about working from home jobs and different things like that. And there was like, you know, there's trolls out there, unfortunately, and people got in my live. And like yesterday was another big number day. And I was like, you know what? I should start leaving my lives up, like letting them post on my page. So we was talking about the type of content I make, like how I'm doing this consistency challenge on my page, where I'm going to post every day except Sundays, because Sundays is the day I don't post. Like I usually like, if I can't make it to church because my church is a distance from where I live, I watch it live and stuff at home because they do live view. And that's just the day that I feel, I pray and all of that stuff. Like that's my rest day. Intentionally spend time with family. So I but yeah, the consistency challenge, I'm gonna be posting every day except Sundays. Yeah. Until the end of the month. I should make sure I preface that until the end of October. So it was like a bunch of people in there all of a sudden. It just skyrocketed from like 10 to like 160 people. And people was like, "Oh, you don't work. How can you post this many videos? That's impossible. You don't have a job." And I'm like, actually, if I would have been really consistent when I started my YouTube channel, it was back in 2019. But I wasn't consistent, and I also wasn't in the right mental space, because there was a lot going on in my life at that time. So I felt like I wasn't in the right mental space and I wasn't consistent. But I was creating videos, editing videos, and posting videos all while commuting back and forth to work in traffic and having to catch multiple buses to get home. Like, I was making it work. So I'm like, yeah, well, I work from home now, so it's a little bit better for me. Like, I can just easily go on my lunch break and hop on my laptop and edit. And I get up in the morning and I work out and I just prioritize and, like, try to structure my day as best as possible. And so that quickly turned to that's not possible, to all of a sudden there were people that was like, my tax dollars is paying for you to sit your A at home, and you're on food stamps, and you're this. Like, it was so many assumptions. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you people don't know me. And you're in the comments. What? And that's what That's what my husband said. He was like, they're just trolls. You're going to have trolls. You're going to have bots. You have people that's just going to hop in your comment and say something that's so ignorant. Just ignore it. And yeah. But on a side note, though, I just wanted to say that I'm about to hop off here because I just realized it's been 55 minutes and I said I was only going to be on live for 30. Um, and since my husband has to work, I want to go spend time with my husband. Um, I'm not going to be working tomorrow or Tuesday because of my daughter being sick. So, yes, I probably will, but I know, well, I'm sure I will. I'm just going to have to wait until I get to that point of like having a certain amount of people and then knowing who I can trust to be a mod in my lives. But I definitely will get to that, and I do agree with you there. But I do want to say you have a great evening, and whoever else is in my life, have a great evening. And I thank you guys for joining. And I'm gonna try to get on live at least for 15 minutes every day. See, another troll. Are you trolling? I felt like you was in here before, but anyway, good night or morning. I don't know. Depends on where anybody is.